it is Wednesday. It is not Friday, but it is Wednesday, which means we're almost there, which means I'm happy. Not as happy as I was on Monday, but anyways. So welcome back. Good morning, Wareham. It is Wednesday, May 8th, and we have a great show here for you. The news headlines, the weather report, and today in history. On today's program, exercising for a better health, because it is not always about the good looks. And also find out what's hot on today's what's hot on this summer's reading. We're going to hit the shelves at the Wareham Free Library. But before we get to any of that, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the morning show. So stay with us because the news, the weather report, and traffic are next. Anyways, so it's not raining out there, which is fantastic, but the sun is still playing a little rookie. Does not want to come out. It's going to be partly cloudy today, or mostly cloudy, as it appears outside at the moment. High at 61 degrees, that's the good news. Low at 41 degrees, so open up your windows when you go to sleep tonight. Tomorrow, Thursday, cloudy skies will continue, high at 57 degrees and low at 44. And now to the news. There were a few news stories over the week, and here are the news headlines. Wareham Week newspaper had the following headlines. Dominique Albanese will be allowed to have copies of grand jury testimony due to the judge ruling on May 6th. The Wareham teen was charged with making several terroristic threats earlier this year. The prosecutors had asked for the minutes of the witnesses' testimony to be impounded because Albanese also faces a charge of witness intimidation. The judge ordered that Albanese may have copies of the material, but ordered that he is not allowed to share it, and he must return it to court after the end of his trial. To our next news of the day, no parking signs on Plymouth Road may be coming down soon. Road commissioners held off on taking down the no parking signs at the end of Plymouth Road Monday night, opting to invite two neighbors at the end of the street, one who asked to have the signs taken down and one who asked for the signs to stay as is. Acting Police Chief John Welseck reiterated findings from the public safety officials on the end of the no parking zone at the end of Plymouth Road, which resident Jose Alicia has asked for them to be removed, while resident Caron Plundra has asked them to be left as is. WASEC have asked the commission to hold off the decision until next month and invite the neighbors to come to testify in the next meeting. And in Sandwich, a humpback whale carcass washed ashore, and we have the full coverage here for you. Let's take a look. A surreal scene here at East Sandwich Beach as neighbors and spectators amazed at the sight of a humpback whale carcass. The carcass, first reported off Provincetown, washed up here at East Sandwich Beach yesterday around 3 p.m. Witnesses observed the endangered mammal, while wildlife officials fenced the cautious tape.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for the kids to see.
And what have the kids been saying?
Cool!
According to the International Fund for Animal Welfare, the carcass has been identified as Vector, an adult female known to naturalists since 1985. Currently estimated to be 37 years old, weighing about 40 tons, and spreads 45 feet long. I see this as a teachable moment, even though there are plenty of questions yet to be answered, but you don't see this every single day.
No, not every single day. And it has been very encouraging to see the school groups with their teachers coming in today to learn about this particular whale and ecology of the whales in the wild.
Okay. The cause of death is yet to be determined. The plan here today is to tow Victor in high tide to an undisclosed location and tomorrow to begin a full necropsy. Reporting from East Sandwich, I am Queen Banda of WCTV. Sad news. And to continue on with our last news of the day, dirty water in Wareham. Not this again, but yes, this again. With brown water concerns resurfacing from various homeowners and businesses served by the Wareham Water Department, Operations Supervisor Andy Cunningham advised Monday night that the new 12 million water filtration plant will address the problem once it is finished. An extensive 12 million renovation of Wareham's water purification plant is underway and might be finished up within the year. The renovation is aimed at addressing concerns with iron and manganese in existing Maple Springs wells 3, 4, 6, and 9, as well as concerns that the wells were at risk for the entry of viruses and pathogens into the water. And that's concluded our morning news. Stay with us. We'll be back with more after this short break. Welcome back. We are filming live, well not filming, broadcasting live from our WCTV studio. And now we welcome the Gleason YMCA. I know they tend to be our Monday guest, but we had some restrictions on the schedule. So we welcome Steve, who is one of the trainers at the Gleason YMCA, here to talk about exercising. But his work is a little different, because when you think about physical trainers and exercising, you're thinking of, well, getting into shape. But Steve does more, goes way beyond that. So welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. We haven't scared you yet.
Excuse me?
We have not scared you yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
I don't scare too easily.
You don't scare too easy. Okay, great, Steve. So tell us about what you do, because your work is different. You're a physical trainer, but you are not there to get people bigger or smaller. You focus on something a little bit different.
Well, when I first got into this business, I decided that I was going to focus as a somewhat older trainer, because this is a second career. I decided I was going to focus more on older clients and clients that had challenges, physical challenges. Mm-hmm. So the goal really is to debunk the myth that weight training and training in the gym is something for younger people. I have clients that have begun working in a gym in their 70s and in their 80s who have very severe challenges. And anybody can improve their physical well-being and extend their longevity with exercise and activity.
And you have been debunking the myth that exercising or the gym is only a place for the young ones, right? Because I've seen you, the clients that you work with. I remember one day you said to me you're working with a young girl, and she is a tennis player or a professional tennis player, and you said, you were there to help her get stronger. And, I said, what do you mean by getting stronger? But just to help her sharpen her game, to just be physically healthy.
Anybody can get better and stronger and healthier with activity. Moving is better than not moving. I have the saying that Sir Isaac Newton once said, a body in motion tends to stay in motion, a body at rest tends to stay in rest. That's exactly the same thing with people. That if you have a inertia that you're sitting on the couch and you're inactive, that's going to be cyclic. If you get active and you start engaging in physical activity on a regular basis, that's going to feed on itself.
Very good. Yeah, and what I love about the YMCA is that they have a wide range of pull when it comes to physical trainers, such as yourself. You said you got into the game later on in life. You used to be a lawyer, right?
Correct.
So when you're talking about a body in motion stays in motion, can you relate that to what you used to do and what you're doing now?
Well, I was a public interest lawyer and a homelessness advocate for about 30 years, but I was always a fitness enthusiast. I was always in the gym. I'm an avid hiker. I ran marathons when I was, early in my career. So I was always active. So this was a natural transition for me to then try to, and the interesting thing about it is, as my wife points out, is in my legal career, I was always working for the underdog. So in some respects, I've transposed that to the gym, that lots and lots of folks want to work with bodybuilders and athletes and elite runners, but it's a little more challenging to work with folks who's a 75 or an 80-year-old person who's never been in a gym before, might have bad knees, might have a bad back, may have a bad shoulder. That's more challenging, and I think just as important, if not more important, to help that person do what I call get functionally fit. Meaning, when I use the word functional fitness, meaning in their everyday life, when they come home from the supermarket, they can put their groceries on the top shelf. When they drag the bag of mulch out of their trunk, they can bring it into the garage and then spread it. Things that are extremely important. I had a client the other day say to me, I haven't been able to open a jar in months, now I can. Because
wow, so that's what that is impressive. So that's the level that you start with, some of the clients.
The idea that we take things that we take for granted as younger, fitter folks, folks sometimes can't do. They can't carry a bag of groceries, or because their shoulder hurts too much, or because they don't have the strength. And by working out, doing some, nothing extreme, but by working out and getting active, those things can greatly improve and able to do daily functions in ways that they couldn't before.
You put it nicely, that is, to help them do their daily functions. My mom, when she had her back operation done, and then she was in physical therapy, and then she wanted to come back to the gym, but she was always afraid if the environment would be supportive, being at the gym. Everybody's moving around. She didn't know if they quit, what she could do. So with that, I always tell her, just go to Steve. Steve will tell you what to do, because you've worked with clients like that. Either they are transitioning from physical therapy, or they had some sort of injury, or as you said, just they want to open the jar.
I always believe that everybody can do something, and the goal is to focus on what people can do, not what they can't do. And there are going to be limitations, but that doesn't mean you can't do anything. There's virtually nobody that can't do some exercise. And the key is just to find what that exercise is and what works for them, and get them to believe that they can improve their life and their quality of life by doing that particular kind of exercise.
So when you get these clients of yours, what do they tell you? What are some of their concerns? Are these clients of yours been to the gym before, or some of them it's their first time?
Well, I do a whole range, but a typical person will come in and say, I just had back surgery, I had a new knee, I had rotator cuff surgery. I've never been to the gym, and I'm 75, and I really need to sort of prevent the decline, those kinds of things. And we start very, very slowly. I will go through medical histories with them. Frequently, I will have get a doctor's to clear their activity level, what limitations they may have. If they've been in physical therapy, I like to get the report from the physical therapist, sometimes even talk to the physical therapist, so we can have a more coordinated approach to the person's sort of re-entry into a higher activity level. But it's all about being very gradual and making sure that they understand there's no magic bullet, and that it's going to be gradual and slow, but that if they're patient and they continue to work, they'll make progress.
So the work that you do, tell me about the need. I understand the impact that it has on your clients, but what is the need in the society, in our community, to work with older folks?
Well, it's a huge population, because no longer do people believe, fortunately, that at a certain age you can no longer get fitter, you can no longer build muscle, and so on and so forth. So the older population is getting older, like us baby boomers. We're a big part of the population now, and folks are much more active than when I look back when I was a kid and I looked at my parents when they were my age. It was unheard of for folks in their 60s, 70s, and 80s to be going to the gym.
I mean, my mom just went to the gym for the first time in her life last year.
And that is a fabulous trend. So it's almost an unlimited population of folks that are going to be looking for programs and ways to be active in groups at senior centers. There's lots of fitness programs that happen at senior centers, yoga, group exercise programs. I mean, not everyone can afford a personal trainer, frankly, even though we're not that expensive at the Y relative to other places, but it is a financial cost. But that doesn't mean you have to have a personal trainer. You need to have some structured format, I believe, at the beginning especially, so that you do it safely. But the need is, and market is almost unlimited for the number of folks that are starting to recognize that activity is something that we want to do when we get older.
Now, do you, apart from working at the Y, do you go to clients' homes, or you only meet at the Y?
No, I work at another gym in Plymouth, which is the gym that I began in first thing in the morning. But I don't do. There's a lot of different models that personal trainers use. They'll have their van with some exercise equipment and go to homes. I'm just working. Most of my time is at the Y, and I'm pretty much there from 9 to 6, 5 days a week, and see clients pretty much all day.
So this is not a retirement gig for you. This is full-time job.
Well, it's a retirement gig, but it's not the part-time job that I originally envisioned. But I'm loving it. It's very satisfying. I love my clients. I love the relationships that you build. You become, you actually get invested in folks' well-being, and you build a relationship.
Very good. And tell me about the environment at the Y. Is it accommodating for the work that you do?
I think that the Y is such an intergenerational place that it makes it such a special place in the community. It's almost, it feels like a senior center, it feels like a youth center, it feels like a child care center, and it's a gym. And so older folks generally feel comfortable at the Y, I believe. But the gym, being actually in the gym is another thing, being in the wellness center, around the weights. That's intimidating for a lot of folks. And so I try to sort of break it down for them and realize that it is a place that they belong as well. That isn't just for some 25-year-old muscly guy. It's everybody belongs in the weight room, and so I try to make that as welcoming as possible. Graduate them into try to find a quiet area that might not be as loud with clanking weights. And make sure that people understand that they can accomplish things as well, and it seems to work.
You're very attentive to your client. You're always right next to them and just keep them going, either it is motivating them or just showing them the ropes.
It's about the client. It's not about the trainer.
Okay.
It's really about the client. It's not about my goals.
Yeah.
It's not about what I want to accomplish. It's not what I want to see them do. It's what their goals are. And that's the first conversation we have is, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What are your fears? What are your concerns? And then we work on that.
Very good. So how full is your schedule now? When those who are listening, can they still call you and make an appointment?
Yeah, I have. I go through phases. There are times in which there are a lot of...
And you've also stayed with clients for years.
I have a whole bunch of clients that have been with me from the beginning when I started here 3 years ago. And I have some snowbirds.
Yeah.
And they'll come back every spring and they'll start again.
Okay.
So I have I must have a half a dozen clients that have been with me for more than a couple of years. But many that have been with me a year or more.
Very good. And you have something interesting going on. You're spearheading a hike, and it's like almost like a marathon kind of hike.
Well, I do a lot of...
Tell us about that crazy idea of yours.
I do a lot of hiking. I run the Blue Hills Hiking Club, which is a 4,500 member hike up in the Blue Hills. I lead hikes for the Appalachian Mountain Club, mostly beginners, because again, it's sort of the helping gene that I seem to have.
Yeah.
I like to introduce people to hiking, even mountain hiking in New Hampshire. So I do a lot of endurance hiking and longer hikes. So we come up with, my hiking partner and I came up with this idea of trying to do right here in Miles Standish, of trying to do a 24-hour, 60-mile hike. So we'll see how that goes. We've been doing 30-mile training hikes, so we'll see how that goes.
And how many people have signed up for this?
It's not one that I'm having people sign up.
Okay, I was about to say, so this is just your own challenge.
No, there's only a limited number of crazy people in the world that will do such a thing. Plus, if you have a large group in that, it's very difficult.
Yes. To keep
so it's not just the
coordinated.
two of us. We're going to try to do this. The longest day of the year, back in the June 21st is the longest day of the year. So we're going to go so we get as much daylight as possible. We've been doing 30 to 40-mile weekend training hikes, and we're just going to see if we crash and burn. We crash and burn. There's no shame in that.
Oh my God, Steve. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here
it's
this
a pleasure.
morning. We
Thank
have
you for
learned a
having me.
lot. All right. For those who are listening to Steve and would like to reach out to him for, I don't know, some advice, or you'd like to be a client of Steve, you can find him at the Gleason YMCA. And if you don't find him at the gym, just ask anybody at the front desk, where is Steve? And they will know exactly whom you're talking about. All right, so we are going to come right back with the history segment. But first, let's take a brief break. I'm coming. Hello, and thank you for joining us this morning. And now to the history segment. Let's take a look at where we were today in history. Okay, so let's start with 1945. The U.S. celebrated VE Day, standing for Victory in Europe during World War II, May 8th. Marks when the Nazis surrendered to the Soviets in Prague. So while this was going on, of course, it was a milestone for the Allies fighting. Not yet done. The war was not yet done because the Japanese were still, well, they were still persistent. They were still fighting the Axis, and they kept the Axis alive for a few more months by still fighting in the Pacific. And then we're going to jump to 1963. The first Bond film was released on this day. The film Dr. No starred Sean Connery, who went on to portray the character in 7 films. Today, there have been 24 Bond movies released, with a 25th one set to come out next year. You know, reading about this, I would love for them to start making new Iron Man movies because, well, you know, for those who have watched the Endgame. Let's continue. And now we're celebrating birthdays, and today we are highlighting former President Harry Truman's birthday, who he was born in 1884. He was our 33rd president, taking over command during the end of World War II in 1945 after President Franklin Roosevelt. Truman was responsible, he made the decision to drop the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He was president until 1953. And happy birthday to everyone else celebrating their big day today. That concludes our history segment. To learn more about cool historical facts, please go online under history.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back. The coffee segment is next. But first, let's take a look at that event calendar. And welcome back. We are broadcasting live from our WCTV studio in Wareham. This is Good Morning Wareham. And now to the coffee segment. And today's coffee segment, we are going back to the Wareham Free Library to see what's hot on their shelves. Take a look.
Hello, and welcome to the Stone Room for today's episode of Checking Out the Wareham Library. On today's episode, we'll have a mystery book talk before we sit down with our 2 new circulation assistants, Donna Larrabee and Nicole Davignon. And then we'll close out the episode with a tutorial on the Dewey Decimal System before we highlight some of the books in our Nonfiction Stacks. What could be better? A murder, a mystery, and a setting that's small-town Massachusetts. This month's Wareham Free Library Mystery Book Club pick is The Body in the Casket by Catherine Hall Page, which is the 24th book in the Faith Fairchild series. When Fairchild is asked to cater a weekend-long 70th birthday party for legendary Broadway producer-director Max Dane, he admits to her while showing her around his spacious mansion, "I didn't hire you for your cooking skills, but for your sleuthing ability." The only clue that Faith has to go on is a mysterious casket that gets delivered to Dane's front door in a gated community. And on the inside of the casket is a playbill from his last Broadway play, a failed musical titled Heaven or Hell. Can Fairchild prevent a murder while keeping an eye on the menu for Dane's birthday bash? Find out in this classic cozy mystery. If you're interested in discussing this book, come to our Mystery Book Club, which meets on the second Thursday of every month. If you're interested in joining, please contact Library Director George Ripley. Our second book stars Commissionaro Guido Brunetti of the Venice Police Force. In the first of his series of 28 books, Death alla Fenice, Brunetti helps investigate the murder of a world-renowned conductor who was poisoned during the intermission of one of his performances. As the investigation unfolds, a chilling picture takes shape with a detailed plot of revenge. But the dilemma for Brunetti might not be finding the suspect, but narrowing the choices to just one. The final selection underscores Chief Inspector Armand Gamache of the Surete du Quebec Provincial Police Force of Quebec. In the first book in the series, Gamache is charged with investigating the murder of an archery teacher who's found dead in the woods with an arrow right through her heart. While the locals think it was a tragic accident, Gamache thinks the victim died at the hands of a sinister killer rather than a careless bow hunter. Read this award-winning novel that is among 14 different mysteries in the series featuring Armand Gamache. And now for my rapid-fire suggestions. If you're looking for a classic mystery author, try reading Agatha Christie. Two of her best novels are The Murder of Roger Ackroyd and The Mysterious Affair at Styles, two early novels starring the famous Belgian detective Hercule Poirot. If you're looking for a good series that includes some historical fiction, try reading about Maisie Dobbs, a former World War I nurse who starts a detective agency just after the Great War. The series, written by Jacqueline Winspear, begins with the book Maisie Dobbs. My two other recommendations for series that feature female detectives include the Kinsey Milhone series by Sue Grafton and the Stephanie Plum series by Janet Ivanovich. Grafton's famous letter sequence begins with A is for Alibi, and Ivanovich's begins with One for the Money. And lastly, if you're on the hunt for a good police serial, try Homicide Detective Harry Botch by Michael Conley, starting with The Black Echo. We're here at the Spinney Library in the meeting room with Nicole Demion, who's one of our circulation assistants. Hi, Nicole. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
So you've been on the job for almost 3 months now. Tell me about working here.
I love it. It's a lot different than previous library experience. It's much bigger demographic, different demographic, much busier, but I enjoy it. It keeps, it exciting.
It keeps things exciting?
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Now, when you first started working here, you said you just couldn't believe how big our library was. You were probably just very surprised that a community like ours of just over 20,000 has this incredible space.
Yeah, Wareham's really lucky to have such a beautiful library. There's a really good collection, and I think the hardest part was kind of learning where everything was and learning the collection so that I can give the best service to the patrons. But I love it.
That's great. And now you work down at the Elizabeth Tabor Library, right?
Yes, so it's much different. Marion's library is small, pretty much just one room. Our collection's probably a third of what Wareham's is. But it's good. It's a lot different, much slower pace, much different demographic. We have a lot of, just summer people in Marion, a lot of seniors. So during the winter months, it's really slow. So that's why having Wareham a few days a week keeps me, on my toes.
Absolutely, especially since it's going to be so busy, and you guys are so busy. I look down there from my desk and I'm like, wow, they're jammed down there.
Yeah, and it's nice that now that we're recertified that it's getting back up to kind of like full swing, I imagine.
Yeah.
Because I know it was tough when we were cut down to only a few days.
Yeah.
Now that people know that we're open again, it's really starting to pick up.
Yeah, that's great. And you're going to Syracuse University to get your master's.
Yeah, my master's in library science.
So tell me about what you've learned and how you're applying it to working at the library.
I actually feel like I take more from what I've learned in libraries and apply it to school rather than the other way around. I think there's a lot of people in this program that have never worked in the library.
Yeah.
So I think working in the library gives you a much different perspective and more realistic perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that that's more influential than school. I think learning on the job is way more helpful. And
then all these crazy theory classes about how things, like reference, you know how to search, you know how to do it, but until you're actually doing it.
Mm-hmm. Until you're actually getting those like real life requests and like actual situations, it's, it's much more, on the job experience is much more helpful.
Yes, absolutely. And that's anything, with collection development, with, getting the whole, how things are cataloged.
And it makes a difference too, like where you are and what your patrons want can influence that stuff much more than just thinking about it, out of context.
Yes, absolutely. Another big thing in the library field nowadays is people need help with technology. People really need help with, trying to straighten out their resume. They need help with their iPad, trying to get Libby, our ebook app on to, I see a lot of those kinds of questions. We can just help using computers. And you're actually, when you're here on Thursdays, you actually offer some drop-in help. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's pretty much open. So any sort of technology or help you need with using a computer or a device or even just, doing research, people are welcome to come by, drop in, and work one-on-one with me to get to the bottom of their problem or figure it out. A lot of people don't realize that we provide this service and people go and pay for it.
Yeah.
And I always encourage people, come to us first, see if we can help you before you go to the Apple store or do something like that. And, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to do with library services. It can just be, simple things. But I definitely try to push using Libby, our e-resources, because a lot of people don't even know.
Yeah.
And it's so many great books on there that, you can get even quicker than physical books sometimes.
Audiobooks too.
Yeah, audiobooks, which, and it's nice because you can download them and listen to them offline. And
or Bluetooth in the car.
And a lot of people use it in the car, and I try to encourage that a lot, because this way you don't have to change CDs and you're, fiddle with the device, you can just let it play, and it's great, so please come.
And you offer this, the times between, on Thursdays, between 9 o'clock and 1, right?
The whole time we're here from 9 to 1, so if you're around, please come.
Awesome. And my last question is, patrons come to the desk, oftentimes they're searching around the library, they're really not sure what kind of books they want to find. So could you give me just 2 recommendations of 2 books that you think people would really like? Yeah,
I've read 2 books that I really enjoyed lately. One is nonfiction, and it's called The Secret Lives of Color by St. Clair. And it's split up by color, and it takes certain colors and gives you the background, where it came from, and how it's used in today's. And it's interesting because in older literature, a color will be described a certain way, and that might be different than what we consider that color today.
The meanings of how words change over time. Yeah,
and it's really cool because there's all it talks about whitewash and how that started, and it's really interesting. And yellow books used to be not a very appropriate thing.
Really?
And so it talks about that a little bit, and it's really interesting. The second book that I really enjoyed, which Game of Thrones fans will probably enjoy, was The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's a bit of a hefty book, but...
what, almost 1,000 pages? Or?
600 maybe,
okay,
similar to Game of Thrones.
Yep.
And it's, light fantasy, not too heavy, but it's epic adventure.
Yeah.
So Game of Thrones fans things like that will really enjoy it. And there's a sequel as well, so if you enjoy the first one, you have to find the sequel.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Have a great one.
We're here in the Stone Room with our other circulation assistant, Donna Larrabee. Welcome, Donna.
Thanks, Stephen. Pleasure.
Awesome. So you've been on the job for almost 3 months now. Tell me about how you like it.
So far, so good. It's nice. The patrons are nice.
Yeah.
The hours are accommodating.
Yeah.
We hope to be open a little more,
Yes.
which would be great.
Yes.
And I've met a lot of new people,
That's great.
and it's a nice job.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's great. And I enjoy working
Yeah.
with you too. I have to tell you.
It's a pleasure.
So tell me about your experience. How you first started, first getting into the library field.
When I lived in Rhode Island, I was a patron at a library for a long time, and someone happened to be out on maternity leave, and they asked me if I would be happy to fill in. I filled in. The girl came back, and needless to say, they said, "Would you like to stay on?" And I did. Which I liked the library because I was there all the time with my kids growing up. I had a lot of time, but not a lot of money, so we exhausted all the library passes, movies, books, you name it.
Yeah.
Anything that you can get, because with a library card, anything's free.
That's right.
So we definitely
Took advantage of that.
Yes. It was a nice, and that's why when people say they don't have a library card, I just cringe because, it is your taxpayers' money.
Yes, that's right.
And there's a reason why, the library is open.
Yes.
And it's free.
Yeah.
As long as you bring the material back on time, it's
Yes.
free. There's just so many things that are here. Downloading books onto your tablet, iPad, checking books out, your children's programs, DVDs. I mean, people spend a fortune through Netflix or Redbox or whatever, and we have them on the shelf.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the amount of money you could spend if you bought all this material.
Yeah.
And I always say that,
Or even high-speed internet access.
yeah, people, when you go to a bookstore, write down the title, come into the library and see if we have it. There's a lot of libraries that do have books,
Yes.
and no need to buy the book if you can get it for free.
Exactly.
That's my motto. But
So you work at a couple of our libraries in Rhode Island. How different is it working at those small libraries versus here?
I only worked at one library in Rhode Island, which I still do.
Yes.
Part-time.
Yes.
The difference, pretty much the same. The only thing is the software here is a little older, and the one in Rhode Island is more updated and easier to work with.
Yeah.
But basically it's the same. To be honest with you, the same. Patrons are happy to see you.
Yeah.
It's a library. It's not a hospital.
No.
So they should be able to walk through the door and really do what they want. Pick out a book, pick out a magazine, sit in the courtyard, relax. It's supposed to be a relaxing place to come to.
Yes.
And we hope that they do.
Yes.
So the door's open, so come on in.
Exactly. And we enjoy serving those patrons.
Yes, it's fun. It's a fun job, which I can't believe they pay me to do.
Yes. I can't believe it. I gotta pinch myself sometimes.
Yeah, it's a fun job. So go to your local library.
That's right. And I've noticed that there's a lot of foot traffic down by that circulation desk.
Yeah.
How do you handle all that? Whether it's you, Kathy, Marcia?
Everyone seems to pitch in, and the people are very patient, which is amazing. They realize they got to stand in line for service, just like you do at the bank or the drugstore or whatever. A lot of people very, very patient, which is amazing. Even the kids, they'll stand there with their material and they'll wait, which is nice. It would be nice if we had a third party, but because of limitations at the desk, we only have two. But we hope that we try to get them in and out.
Yes.
As fast as we can, but without pushing them out the door.
Yes.
But yeah, we try our best. It's nice. It's nice to see the activity. A lot of kids. Nice to see teens checking out books and middle schoolers checking out books. That's a nice. And the expression on the little kids when they get their library card.
Love it.
And they can pick out anything in the library for free. And so that's fun.
I love that.
That's fun.
I love that. And you've noticed traffic pick up a little bit since you started.
Which is good, yeah, thank God. It was very, very slow starting, but now people are aware of our hours, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
The weather's getting nice,
so
it's lighter at night, so you're getting a lot more people in at night, which is nice. They walk into the library.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're coming through the door. But yeah, it's very deceiving, this library. From the outside, it doesn't look very big, but inside there's so much material here.
For a community of just over 20,000.
Very big.
It's big. It's
big.
Deceiving.
So I would say to anybody, just step in, take a peek.
Yeah.
If you need help, we're here for service. If we can't help you, we will send you to Stephen. Or, you know, or George.
Or George. George is just as good, if not better
George
than
is
me.
very, yeah. It's been nice. The staff is nice, yeah.
So, if a patron's having trouble looking for a book, you know, like they walk in the library, they're like, walk around, looking through nonfiction, looking through the fiction stacks, and they come to your desk and they're like, I don't know what to get. You've got so much here. What are 2 titles that you'd recommend off the top of your head?
Normally I would go to my go-to authors, which is, you know, the Mike Conley, David Baldacci, but I have read 2 books that patrons have recommended to me, which is totally unrelated to the books that I read. The first one was by Delia Owens, Where the Crawdads Sing.
You told me about this book. So what's about this book?
I won't give it away. It's a murder mystery based in the Carolinas, and it's a young girl, mother. I'm not going to go into the details, but she survives. She survives in the woods on her own. But the book itself draws you in. I wouldn't have picked it up because it wouldn't have been my style. I go for the military mystery thrillers. I want something that grabs me. It was very good. You won't be disappointed. The second one, which I'm going to go, is Robert Dugoni, which is not his style, but it's The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell, based on, it's fictional, but it's a young boy growing up in the 60s with a genetic abnormality, and he's bullied through parochial school, and it just goes, and he tells his story from like age 7 to age 40. It's just a really, it sits with you. So those are my 2 that I wouldn't have picked up. I would have walked right by them and said, no, that's not for me. Because, you know, you get stuck in your authors, and you like a certain...
I'm awful.
Yeah, there's so many books, but I like military spies, thrillers, anything with crime, or that picks my interest. But those 2 books they're very good. But that's, you know, give it a shot.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, taking the time out of
your schedule. You're welcome, Stephen. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks,
All right. You're welcome.
If you're looking for a book in the nonfiction section of our public library, you've probably come across the way we organize books using the Dewey Decimal System. The system was first introduced by Melville Dewey in 1876. If you've ever gotten a long number where a book might be located, you've probably wondered why books about cooking fish are located at 641.692. The Dewey Decimal System is organized into 10 main classes. Generalities in the 000 section, 100s cover philosophy and psychology, 200s cover religion, 300s cover social sciences, 400 talks about languages, 500 has natural sciences and books about mathematics, the 600s have books about technology and applied sciences, 700 covers the arts, 800 takes care of literature and rhetoric, and we end with 900s, which deal with geography and history. Within those 10 classes includes 100 different divisions. For instance, 600 is used for general works about technology. 610 has books on medicine. 620 includes volumes about engineering, and 630 has books related to agriculture. The 100 divisions are also further broken down into 1,000 sections to help classify books even further. Now that we understand a little bit about how the Dewey Decimal System is organized, let's learn about its notation and how we use call numbers. Hierarchy in the Dewey Decimal System is expressed through structure and notation. Structural hierarchy means that all topics, aside from the 10 primary classes, are part of broader topics above them. Notational hierarchy is expressed by the length of the notation. An example of this is as follows. Books in the 600s include works of technology. If we move ahead to 630, that features books about agriculture and its related technologies. 636 has books about animal husbandry. 636.7 includes nonfiction books about dogs. And then if we move one decimal place over to 636.8, that has books about cats. Here are a few tips about how you can use the Dewey Decimal System when you're looking for books in the stacks. When you're trying to find a book, keep in mind that you're looking at a decimal number. So the number 910.05 is before 910.10. Additionally, catalogers in public libraries try to make things easier for us, so they'll often include the author and the year of publication in the call number. Let's head to Nonfiction Stacks, where I'll highlight different areas of books that you might be interested in checking out. Welcome to the beginning of the Nonfiction Stacks. The first series of books I'd like to highlight are the 005 section, for patrons who might need help with computers or any kind of technology. A little bit further behind me are the self-help books, which fall between numbers 150 and 155. If you're looking for a Bible or information about looking something up in the Bible, you can look down the end of the row to number 220, which is where those books are located. If we stay in the religious section, books above 280 cover the Greek Orthodox religion and other Christian denominations. 294.3 covers books on Buddhism. 296 features books on Judaism. And 297 is where you find resources about Islam. The 300s have a lot of books that you really can't discount. If you're ever curious about how the United States government works or its early beginnings, check out the 320 area. If you jump up to 331, you'll find books that project employment outlook in various industries and also give advice if you're looking for a particular career path. If you slide up one number to 332, you'll find books about personal finance. The 340 section has books related to law, and you'll find especially helpful our NOLO series, which deals with topics ranging from creating a will to bankruptcy and everything in between. If you slide ahead to the 370 section, you'll find books about education, where your children or grandchildren might be able to find books on studying for the SAT or ACT, and you'll find books on looking for colleges. Over here are the 400s, which as I noted in my introduction, deal with languages. The Wareham Free Library has many dictionaries in this section, languages which include Arabic, Spanish, American Sign Language, and Russian. On the other side start the 500 books, which are the sciences, which cover different kinds of books ranging from mathematics to physics, chemistry, earth science, and paleontology. You know, the study of dinosaurs, as well as zoology, botany, and biology. When you get to the 600s, you could literally spend all day looking at the books in this one area. In the 610 section, you'll find books related to medicine, diseases, drugs, therapies, and other branches of the medical science. In our library, we have 36 whole shelves dedicated to this one area, so try to take advantage of our resources. If you're looking to repair a car, take a look at the 629.2 section, which has the Chilton series, which covers do-it-your-own repairs for automobiles. The 630s have books that cover gardening, while the 636 section has books related to pet care and other nonfiction books about cats, dogs, and other domesticated animals. After you pass through the gardening books in the 630s, you have to check out our extensive cookbook collection that's in the 641 area. It extends from this point down 28 shelves down to this area. For books about home improvement, you'll want to look for volumes in the 643 range. For advice about parenting and relationships, check out books between the 646 to 649 range. If you're looking for a job, you'll definitely want to check out our career hunting resources in the 650 area. There is no shortage of books that talk about resumes, cover letters, and looking for a job. For books about hobbies and collections, you'll have your pick when you're looking at books above 680. The 700s have a lot to offer, as this section covers art, music, and sports. The 740 section has a lot of traditional craft books, while 745 to 747 specifically has books related to sewing, knitting, and crochet. Call number 750 has books that cover paintings and techniques. 760 has books that explain graphic design and drawing, and 770 includes books that cover photography. 780 moves ahead to books related to music, discussing books from classical music all the way up to contemporary music. In the 790s, you'll find books about the theater and movies. 796 specifically covers books related to sports. Our sports collection here is quite large, as you'll find many of the classic nonfiction sports reads for sports like basketball, football, golf, baseball, and other sports. The 800 area is an interesting section. This is the area where if you want to learn more about literature, you found the place. This is where you'll find poetry books, classic novels, humorous reads, and books about writing. At last, we've reached the 900s. I know most of us are using GPS nowadays, but if you ever get that itch to use an atlas, you will find some atlases in the atlas case right by my desk in the reference section, or you can check out an atlas in the 910 section. Right next to the atlases, you'll find the tour books in the 914 through 917 area, which covers not just Disney World, but several major US cities and other European countries. If you're looking to get started on tracing your family tree, we have a wealth of genealogy information in the 929 area. 940 specifically covers the history of Europe in several different countries. But if you're specifically looking for information about World War II, try the call number 940.54. In this area, you really want to check it out because we have a really extensive World War II section. If you want to find information about the history of the United States, look no further than the 973 area. If you want books on local history, try the 974.4 area. In this area, you'll find books about various cities and towns in the area, including Cape Cod, the Old Colony area, and several other communities within southeastern Massachusetts. I hope that I've been able to explain how the Dewey Decimal System works, while highlighting some of the books that are in our collection. If there's a book that you just can't seem to find in the stacks, ask a librarian, and it might be located on the shelf of another library within the sales network. Thank you for joining us on checking out the Wareham Library. I hope you come down to the library to take advantage of our services and say hello to the friendly faces that you see every day.
Well, wasn't that informative? I hope you learned, and I hope you're just gonna run straight to that library and pick that book off that shelf. Getting ready for this summer, because what else you got going on? Nothing, right? Well, nothing if you're a student. You got nothing. Except if you're working, then you got something you have to work. You have to get a car or something like that. Anyhow, thank you for joining me this morning. It was a fantastic show. Minimal mistakes. But hey, without that, what could we have? Nothing, right? So if you missed us this morning, and right now Bob is doing this, this means keep talking. If you missed us this morning, do not worry. We'll be back. Well, we're going to be back this evening at 6 p.m. And also, we're going to be back on Friday with a brand new show. And I have a lady coming to talk about dog park. Yes, apparently we have a dog park in Wareham. Nobody knows where the dog park is. I did not know that we had a dog park, so shame on me. But we'll get all that settled in on Friday. So we're going to talk about dog park. Also, the DECA students, the Wareham High School DECA kids, won't be here, but I'll get the footage for you and we'll air it on Friday. They're going to talk about their upcoming fundraiser. And apart from that, our favorite Russian will be here on Friday, Nadia Kariknakova, to talk about the week's news and events. So with that, Wareham, thank you once again, and I wish you all a pleasant morning. Bye.